My name is Melissa Lucas, and this is the Transferred Employee Case Study presentation. As an administrator in a health organization, you are faced with the task of completing an annual job performance appraisal for a new employee. The supervisor is unsure of how to handle the situation and refuses to complete it. The losing supervisor also believes that writing a performance appraisal 90 days after it is due will trigger a red flag with human resources, potentially affecting the department's effectiveness. Frustrated, you seek guidance from your supervisor, who suggests changing the date on the employee's internal transfer documents and ensuring she does an evaluation for 12 months instead of just 9. He also suggests you provide input on the evaluation as the employee worked for you for the past 60 days. Your supervisor assures you that this practice is not illegal and it is used frequently to correct administrative actions in the facility. However, you feel uncomfortable losing favor with your boss, who controls your future in the organization. To protect yourself, you call the organization's legal counsel for advice. Legal counsel tells you that it is not illegal to change documents if it results in a correction to a previously made administrative error. You counter that this may not have been a human resources or administrative error, but an attempt to avoid a negative human resources action. Legal counsel suggests discussing the issue with your supervisor, which makes you uncomfortable as your boss is not fond of repeating himself or being challenged by an employee. The losing supervisor did not fulfill their responsibilities. Then, in fear of punishment, suggested the new supervisor complete the annual review. The administrator is hesitant to complete this duty and elicits advice from their supervisor. The supervisor suggests changing out the transfer documents to include a new date of transfer as to complete the review. This has been done before and is not illegal. If I was in this situation, I would not change the documents. Legal counsel for the facility said it was not illegal if it was an administrative error, which it was not. The losing supervisor is unethical by not taking responsibility and completing their portion of the transfer process. The administrator's supervisor is unethical by giving illegal advice to an employee that would then affect another subordinate. I have a duty to be ethical in my role as an administrator. Rules and regulations would be in violation. I need to be sure I am at least accountable to myself and my employees with my behavior, and someone needs to stop the cycle of injustice and unethical behavior. As a leader, it is my job to be an example of what to do, even though I do not have a good role model in this scenario. I can still show my subordinates what to do in an ethical dilemma. Depending on my supervisor's behavior and actions, I would most likely confront them face to face to let them know how I felt the behavior was wrong and unethical. I would not be in fear of losing my job, because if my job were to be in jeopardy over unethical behavior, it is not a leader nor an organization I want to be working for. At the end of the day, I know my truth. I know my morals, ethics, and values, and why I believe in them. I chose not to change the documentation because it is illegal. It is legal documentation that would have incorrectly been altered. Not only would the action be illegal, it would be unethical and have ramifications that are not truly known by the description of the case study. Understanding what is right and wrong from an organizational standpoint comes into play amongst the individual ethical beliefs. Changing dates on a document today could have ramifications down the line for the employee that no one understands in the moment. Rules, regulations, laws are put in place for a reason. The short-term and long-term effects are typically thought out. I choose to walk inside the line to ensure the organization and my employee doesn't have to answer for an injustice I have been a part of. The other supervisor and my direct supervisor can be responsible for their own actions, and I can be responsible for mine. My next course of action would include contacting human resources and legal. I, as the administrator, am receiving pushback of a job that needs to be completed. My supervisor is complicit in saying I should just complete a job that's not mine. I need to consult with human resources to see what can be done, since it is an HR task being completed. I would consult with legal to make them aware of the behavior I was witness to when my supervisor told me to change out the documents and write in a new transfer date, which was not due to administrative error. I also need to document the conversations I have had with my supervisor, the other department supervisor, calls with HR, and legal. An ethical framework is a structured approach to analyzing and solving ethical dilemmas. To choose only one ethical approach to this situation is difficult. Deontology is based on rules and duties suggesting that actions are morally right. They follow the set of rules regardless of consequences. Utilitarianism is focused on the outcomes of actions. The most ethical choice is the one that will produce the greatest good for the greatest number of people. Both theories fit this scenario or dilemma because there are rules that are threatening to be overlooked. By following the rules, there would be consequences, but morally it would be right. Utilitarianism also fits the dilemma because the true impact of changing the documents is unknown. There would be more questions of what the trickle-down effect could be or when it would take effect. Thank you for listening to my presentation.